The big, beautiful bill just passed and Donald Trump is about to sign it into law today. And a billionaire just took to Twitter to expose how this lets the U.S. print $7 trillion a year. But I want you to not forget that in 2020, when we printed $3 trillion, Bitcoin rallied by 300% that year alone. So is it crazy to say if we print $7 trillion, that maybe we'll see a 700% by year's end? Maybe. Obviously, it's not going to correlate exactly like that. But when we break this fully down for you guys, I think you guys are going to see that Bitcoin is going much, much higher. So let's get into this stuff. And of course, I am not alone here. I have my boy Chris filling in, fully decked out in 4th of July merch here. Looking great, dude. Looking wonderful here. So again, first news story here. We're just going to cover, the House passes the big, beautiful bill, and it's sending it to Trump to sign. As you can see, sending it to Trump after bruising struggle. So if you don't know how this bill went or how this process went, it passed the House. It went to Senate. It had to go back to the House again to get fully approved. It passed the House again yesterday.
Just barely, I think.
Just barely, yeah, just barely passed. And from all intents and purposes, it's going to get signed by Trump today. I think they said maybe later on today around 5 or something of that sort. So we can pretty much safely say that this is a done deal. It's going to get passed. I don't know if you think this is a good thing or you think this is a bad thing. There's people on both sides of the fence, but this isn't about the bill in general. This is not about what this bill does. It's really more Bitcoin focus of what this will do to Bitcoin. And of course, there's some good headlines coming out here. I actually saw this one this morning, and it goes, Bitcoin aimed for 150K as Trump's big, beautiful bill opens the fiscal floodgates. As you can see here, the story highlights Bitcoin surged 38% after Trump's last stimulus bill, again in 2020, which was roughly around $3 trillion. And with another multi-trillion-dollar package now looming, traders are betting that Bitcoin will follow the money once again and blast through 150K. So Bitcoin's price action is no stranger to stimulus-driven rallies, and now that we got this one, which will catapult the national debt to $40 trillion, we can expect an incredible end of the year. Of course, we all know Bitcoin basically pumps because of the fiat liquidity. Well, if they're going to inject more liquidity into the economy, into the global economy, Bitcoin's going to go up, guys. If they're going to constantly debase the currency, print a bunch of money, expand the money supply, inflation's going up. It's simple Austrian economics. So you want to be holding hard assets. And this is extremely bullish for Bitcoiners. Maybe it's not so bullish for your living expenses. Things are probably going up. Like, that's a given here. Again, I don't know which side of the aisle you fall on, whether you think this bill is good or not, but the facts remain the same. If they expand the money supply, by definition, that is inflation, which means your dollar is going to get cheaper. It's going to get, it's going to purchase less things. So you want to be holding hard assets. And of course, we are a Bitcoin show. We constantly say the best thing, the only thing to own is Bitcoin. So, what's going on, man? These ads here. Let me refresh this. I need an ad blocker here, Chris. All right. Let's see. What do we have? So again, will this stimulus drive Bitcoin just like it did in 2020? When Trump signed this, in 2020, Bitcoin gained 38% in just a few weeks. But like I told you, here, I'll pull up a chart. I'm not chart boying here. But you can see here, 2020, it went up 300% that year. So, I think it's going to get pretty crazy here. Now, of course, we don't trade. All we're saying is you want to position yourself because they're expanding the money supply. They're going to destroy your purchasing power. As I've been telling you the last couple of weeks, we've seen that even though the Trump administration, Scott Bessent, and Trump himself are saying they want an extremely strong dollar, in their actions, they're kind of doing the opposite. It seems like they're trying to weaken the dollar. And of course, they've been pressuring Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. Well, as I covered from Ray Dalio the other day, if you have a weak dollar and low interest rates, you need to position yourself into a hard asset, which of course is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the hardest asset. And then of course, it kind of brings in the idea of the M2 global money supply with more liquidity, more fiat liquidity sloshing around. It's got to find a home. The best home is of course Bitcoin. So, I've been saying for a minute, I think we're going to see an incredible end of the year. And now it does feel like a perfect storm is coming into Bitcoin. The more money they print, the higher Bitcoin's going to go. I think it's just pretty simple. Do not complicate this. I'm convinced this is what's going to happen. Of course, this bill isn't official yet, but we can pretty much confirm that it is official today. So they're going to be printing a bunch of money. A bunch of money is going to get created. You need to hold something other than dollars. Now, Chris, I do want to bring you in here before I really break down the math, because Ray Dalio did another great tweet about just how insane this math is. And of course, he did just write a book talking about how countries go under because of debt crises. He's ringing the panic alarm right now. And I think this big, beautiful bill is one of those, indicators just showing, look, as Lynn Alden's been saying, nothing stops this train. In fact, we might have just gotten an acceleration of this train, because now they're going to print more than ever. The biggest expansion I think we've seen in forever. So on just that idea, the bill passing, they're gonna destroy the purchasing power of the dollar. It's gonna go into Bitcoin, and then we'll break down the math.
Yeah, I mean, printer's going to print, right, Opti? So, I mean, I have not really dug into this bill a lot. I've seen kind of the back and forth with Trump and Thomas Massey. And, Trump, I feel like he's kind of not coming up to a lot of his promises that he went on the campaign trail for. Like, obviously, he said no more wars. Obviously, there was the 12-day war of, Israel, Iran, and backing by the U.S., obviously he said he was going to balance budgets, and then like he's printed $7 or $9 trillion, whatever the amount is, an astronomical amount of money. And then just like the irony of it all, that like, Trump obviously is not one to let things go, but like even like people that hated him or never Trumpers are now in his cabinet, Marco Rubio and JD Vance, just to name a few. But then he goes after Thomas Massey, which if you're going to go after anyone in Congress and Senate, which I'm not saying you can't go after anyone. I'm not saying you can't even go after Thomas Massey. Like, you're free to do what you want, but like Thomas Massey is probably the most loved congressman or woman or, senator in the entire U.S. Like congressional group. And it's just very funny that he's going after Thomas Massey for basically saying, no, I don't want to sign this bill. When historically, when you look at his voting record, he never votes to expand the budget deficit until we balance the books. So I don't know. It just seems like Trump's doing a 180. And I haven't really dug into the big, beautiful bill yet. I definitely going to spend some time probably next week looking through it and kind of see what comes into it. I hate to say like these omnibus bills, but it's almost like I remember Nancy Pelosi saying years ago, like, we're not going to know what's in this bill till we sign it. I'm like, that's like not how democracy should be. That's not how this thing should be. It should not be that these large corporations just get to, send a gigantic printout of shit they want in the bill and then like slowly narrow it down. They have like 72 hours to review like 3,000 pages, which no one in the right mind could do reasonably. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just wait and see. I think everything's good for Bitcoin. Money printers go burr. Bitcoin's going to go up. I mean, that's all my speculation that I got. So stay humble and stack sats.
Yeah, I mean, on the politician reading bills part, you think it'd be their job to read what is actually in the bill instead of just putting, what's the auto pen on it. It's like, guys, this is your job. You should know what's going in. But of course, 72 hours to read 3,000 pages. I can barely read like 30 pages in 72 hours. So like, it's just not physically possible. So, there's that part. And this is all good for Bitcoin. Now, you said you didn't read what was actually in the bill. I don't think a lot of people have read. I mentioned it yesterday, a Peter St. Onge video. And I didn't fully clarify if there was any adjustments to what passed the Senate. But from what Peter St. Onge was saying, they're going to raise the debt ceiling to about 4 or 5 trillion. There is some tax cuts in it, and the spending cuts are like negligible. So, he gave it, I think it was an A- on the tax cuts, a C- on the spending cuts, and an absolute F on the debt ceiling because they're just raising it. All right, but I do have some numbers here from Ray Dalio, so I'm going to pull those up, and then this is where the maths really start to get crazy. And when I saw this tweet, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, this isn't the big, beautiful bill. This is the big, beautiful print, guys. This is how we should be framing this. This is going to get nuts. So here we go. This is Ray Dalio, of course, billionaire investor. You guys probably know who Ray Dalio is by now. He tweeted yesterday afternoon. And he goes, now that the budget bill has passed Congress, we can see what the projections look like for deficits, government debt, and debt service expenses. In brief, the bill is expected to lead to spending of about $7 trillion a year with inflows of about $5 trillion a year. So the debt, which is now about 6 times of the money taken in, 100% of the GDP, and about $230K per American family, will rise over 10 years to about 7.5x the money taken in, 130% of GDP, and $425,000 per family. That will increase interest and principal payments on the debt from about $10 trillion or $1 trillion in interest and $9 trillion in principal to about $18 trillion, of which $2 trillion is interest payments, which will lead to either a big squeezing out and cutting off of spending and our unimaginable tax increases, or a lot of printing and devaluing of money and pushing interest rates to unattractively low levels. This printing and devaluing is not good for those holding bonds as a storehold of wealth. And what's bad for bonds in U.S. credit markets is bad for everyone, because the U.S. Treasury market is the backbone of all capital markets, which are the backbones of our economic and social conditions. Unless this pass is soon rectified to bring the budget deficit from roughly 7% of GDP to about 3% by making adjustments to spending, taxes, and interest rates, big, painful disruptions will likely occur. So, not sounding too good when Ray Dalio said it. Jump in, Chris. Yeah, what's your thoughts of reading this? And we can break it down some more.
Yeah, obviously Ray Dalio had another book, what is it, in 2020 or 2021, The Changing World Order, talking about, the rise and fall of empires. Obviously, his thesis was the U.S. is, if you follow the fourth turning, every 80 years, there's a large business cycle. Every 240, every 250, there's, a rise and fall of an empire, the U.S. being coinciding on, our 249th birthday of the nation of the United States, basically saying that like the US was, a dominant world superpower and we're slowly in decline. China will surpass us is kind of what he's saying. Obviously, we were talking a little bit yesterday about the sovereign individual, that like a lot of people see Bitcoin or Bitcoiners or digital nomads basically being the future rising superpower. So it's kind of a decentralized, autonomous, swarm of people, cyber hornets basically. But a lot of people are saying that, I don't know. We'll see it, two superpowers coinciding at the same time. But I do think Ray Dalio is hitting the nail on the head. Like, what destroys empires is amount of like a surplus of debt that they can't service and ultimately leads to a collapse. Normally when that collapse happens, it's normally violent. There's normally civil unrest. And it's normally a very dangerous time. So obviously being an American and, being in the United States as well as you, Opti, like this is not something I hope we can see. Many Bitcoiners said over at least the last 10 years, like we're hoping to build a parallel economy or a parallel system that people can slowly transition to as the other fiat economy is collapsing into oblivion. But, that's just trying to be the forever optimist. I know Optimus Fields trying to be optimist out here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not going full dollar doomer here. I'm not saying, the U.S. empire is going to collapse this year or even during the Trump administration. That's not kind of where my head is at right now. All I'm saying is they just expanded the money supply. That literally by definition means inflation. So if you are not holding Bitcoin at this point, if you are not at the very least doing some research into what Bitcoin is, your savings are going to get decimated if you're holding the dollar. Yes, maybe you can, maintain kind of parity if you are in stocks, but you need something that's going to outperform the market. You need something that cannot be debased. You need to get your savings into the hardest money period, which is, of course, Bitcoin. That's why we are Bitcoiners. That's why when you look at the charts, you look at, what's going on in the geopolitics and domestic politics here in the U.S. or your domestic politics in your country, it's all pointing to one thing. You need to get Bitcoin. This is the only thing. And not only get Bitcoin exposure here, you need to hold Bitcoin in cold storage that you directly control. That's the only way to protect yourself throughout this whole thing. But, hey, a lot of money is coming on. So I wish I had the Jerome Powell money printer is about to go burr moment here. But the money printer seemingly just got turned on, guys, which is usually historically very bullish for Bitcoin.
Opti, I'll add one last point. Greg Foss, good friend of the show, obviously. One thing that he's always said is that like the US dollar is the best horse at the glue factory. So like even with as bad as the outlook this looks with the United States, with money printer going burr, with the debt per GDP going up, with the debt per family, per person, per taxpayer going up, at the end of the day, the US dollar is still the best horse at the glue factory, so to speak. But with that being said, you don't have to be a horse for the slaughter. You can go transfer to Bitcoin. You can be successful. You can build a great life. Stay humble. Stack sats. That's it. That's the advice. We keep saying it, and I definitely think that's the outlook you should take here.
Yeah, we're a broken record by a huge amount here. And actually, to your point, the dollar being the best horse, fastest horse at the glue factory, there was some interesting stuff that did come out from BRICS nations again this week, or sorry, probably the end of last week. We've been hearing a lot of rumors about the BRICS countries creating their own currency. We saw Russia kind of deny this in the beginning of the year. It seems like, Xi Jinping is not really on board with it. And then we had Modi from India this week basically say this is not going to happen. I think their angling was they really don't trust China in this process, but they specifically said like we are not making moves to go into a BRICS currency. Like the dollar is still the strongest. We want to maintain our relationship with the US. Obviously, I think the Bitcoin doomer, US dollar doomers out there, it is easy to fall into the doomer trap. And that's why I don't want to necessarily say that, like the dollar is going to collapse tomorrow or any of that kind of hyperbolic sentencing. But the one thing's the same. Your purchasing power is going to get decimated here. Like inflation's going to go up. You need to protect yourself. Everything we're seeing is they're going to turn on the money printer again. Global liquidity is going to go up. It's all got to find a home, and all of that's going to have to smash into 21 million coins. So number's going to go up for Bitcoin. Your number is going to go up for Bitcoiners. A lot of the people around us are probably going to start to feel the pain, and we're going to be sitting here waiting for them and be like, guys, we have the perfect solution. It is, of course, Bitcoin. And I did give you an anecdote. One of my friends who's been a long-time skeptic hit me up this week, and he was telling me that exact story. He's like, rent's getting more expensive. I'm seeing businesses go down. He's like, I have some money in stocks. Like, do you think I should be buying some Bitcoin? I'm like, bro, I would have been buying that Bitcoin a long time ago. I've been telling you this for 8-9 years or whatever it is now at this point. And he's like, it's starting to make sense. So again, I think now is not the time to just be very naive here and just dunk on everyone. Like now is the time to maybe reach out to people. I know we're tired of talking about Bitcoin. You got that like orange pill fatigue because no one's been listening to you forever. Now is the time that we should probably be a little more gracious. We should probably be a little less impatient with people because this is the time. People are going to start looking for the alternative. And of course, that is Bitcoin. So here we are, man. It's getting very interesting as a Bitcoiner. And then all the other stuff going on, the Bitcoin Treasury companies. Actually, Chris, you want to drop that hot take about the Bitcoin Treasury companies real quick? Because I did find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm basically saying you're gonna have to remind me here. It was basically
about the mempools being cleared. And
yes. So like I was saying, like Opti, like the mempools are clear right now, which is interesting because all these Bitcoin Treasury companies are popping up saying they're buying Bitcoin, but it's like, why are the mempools clear? Like we had way more backlogs because of ordinals and all that, like BS on Bitcoin. But right now, like 1 sat per VByte can get you into the very next block. There's outstanding right now. There's 850 outstanding transactions. So it's just very curious that all these Bitcoin Treasury companies are popping up. They're buying millions, if not billions of Bitcoin, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But then, the mempools are still empty. So I'm saying like, this is bullish because we're sitting at $107,000 right now, and we're still at this, high relative to Bitcoin's history. Like, we're just shy of the all-time highs and we're not even ripping yet, which just goes to show a lot of these Bitcoin Treasury companies are basically just Coinbase Treasury companies as they buy on most likely Coinbase and don't even withdraw to their own self-custody. So I think this is bullish. And even I'm at the sentiment too, where I have friends like, oh man, I should have bought MetaPlanet. Oh, should I buy XXI? Should I buy Coinbase? Should I buy XY? Like all these different companies. It's like, oh, this is it. The people are getting tired of Bitcoin. This is when you go all in on Bitcoin to see the rip it to the high side later on. Like people are like, oh, all these treasury companies are outperforming Bitcoin. It's like that's when Bitcoin causes the amount of most pain that people are levering up their stocks with MSTR or all their different options, strike their bond offering or whatever, the convertible debt note, all these different things. Like this is when you start buying more and more Bitcoin. Not, or you could be like me and Opti, it just never stopped. But we're looking around. It's like the meme of like, wait, you guys are getting paid? Like you guys stopped buying Bitcoin? We never stopped.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you break it down like that, it's like, okay, Bitcoin's up at 100K. There's supposedly billions of dollars.
Demand.
Yeah, there's supposedly all this demand for Bitcoin. The mempools are absolutely cleared. If we're holding on this strong and there's actually no Bitcoin buying, like just imagine when there's actually some Bitcoin buying going on and you see it clear on chain. It's like, all right, everyone's saying, hey, the Bitcoin treasury companies are the bubble, and you're like, they haven't even bought Bitcoin yet. This is going higher. What are you talking about? Oh, man, that's crazy. All right. I do want to pull a chart out. It's Friday. Let's have a little fun. Let's just speculate a little bit. I'm going full chart boy on you guys a little bit. Not really, actually. Don't mind my one line here. Don't mind that line here. Again, I showed you this candle here, which is January 20th, and I'm on the 12 month. So this is a yearly candle. From what the low, or actually the open was 7,161. The close was 28,993. And I'm going to just, simplify this based on obviously demand, but $3 trillion of money printing. Well, let's just see if that math works out, guys. Again, you guys can throw tomatoes, call me an idiot all you want, but hey, let's just throw some hypotheticals here. Luke's not here, but we can get bullish. This year, 2025 opened at 93,000. We don't know when the close is, but as you can see, I did put a 700% price gain here, which gets us pretty comfortably into, pretty comfortably into the 700K range, maybe, mid 700s. I'm not saying that's going to happen. All I'm saying is it could happen. Okay, so, hey, do with that information what you will. Do not do anything crazy. Don't get over leveraged. Just keep buying Bitcoin. But wouldn't it be nice if we ended the year around 700K? Everyone's saying 150K top. I'm like, bro, get your doomer bearish price predictions out of the chat here. We stay bull-tarded. It's Friday. It's 4th of July here in America. We're going to get super bullish on today's show. So, I don't. This is not financial advice. But just show 700K to your friends and family. Let them get mad at you. No, that was a joke, guys. I'm trolling. That was totally a joke. Was it? Totally a joke. Okay. All right, guys. I do want to remind you, of course, to smash the like button. Comment on the show. Do you think this money printing is going to send Bitcoin to the stratosphere? Or are we just, stupidly bullish and, we have 45 IQs and we're just making stuff up? Let me know in the comments here. And, of course, hit the subscribe button. We drop the most content and the best content out of any Bitcoin channel on YouTube.
Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally not only have an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to HODL while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you today. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Head over to ledn.io today.